yourself, because I feel like we're just going right into this. And
Yeah. Okay.
so tell everyone who you are, what you do, because we've got a gist of it already. But
Okay, so my name is Beth Sommers. I live in Chicago, and I am a food stylist and assistant food stylist. I still do a lot of assisting, and I occasionally develop recipes. So I'm a freelancer.
Ta-da! And how many years have you been working as I guess as food stylist and all these other awesome things?
Yeah, so I have been on my own, making a go of it for almost 3 years. Prior to that, though, I had worked in the food space for many, many years in a lot of different capacities, which really helped me to build up my network of people here who I could call on and say, hey, I'm going freelance. It would be amazing if you would let me work with you for a while. And they had already worked with me in some capacity. I had either hired them in the test kitchen I was working at to help us with photography or to help us develop or test recipes. Or, I had a stable of people. It wasn't like I jumped headfirst into this world of not knowing anybody or anything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Pardon me. First talk of the day.
I know. Cheers.
But what I was going to say is this reminds me a lot of when I first got out of university and everything was shifting. So people who were graphic designers were suddenly graphic designers, web designers, illustrators. Like we had to make the graphics, we had to do the layout, and then we also had to execute the HTML and everything and create the website.
Okay.
And now we're almost like getting into that danger zone of you're the food stylist, you're the photographer, you can art direct, and you can style the set and prop and everything.
Right.
A lot of people who blog already do a lot of that.
Sure.
But then you've got sort of sometimes a quality situation.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
There's definitely like a spectrum there, right? Of a really, really amazing work to not so great.
It works. Yeah. It's a sandwich. I can tell it's a sandwich. I think it's a sandwich. That's exactly. A sandwich.
Right.
Yeah. But what I was going to say just a little bit ago was camera is not as significantly important depending on what your final product is going to be. So if someone's asking you to do stuff for social media, you could actually use a smartphone.
Right.
If you can manage your light pretty well.
Right. Yeah, here in Chicago, we get a lot of, we do get a lot of advertising work and things like that is social media driven, but we also get a lot of packaging work.
Right. Yeah.
It's a really big epicenter for that. And so that is not something that can be achieved
with a smartphone.
With a smartphone. You're really looking for somebody who is super adept with the camera and the lighting and all of those nuances, which
all the post-processing.
I certainly am not. And honestly, like for me, it's I don't want to learn. I've never really had the desire to learn how to photograph.
Yeah.
I wish that I did, but it's just not there for me. So starting to think about, maybe this is a transition I should try and make to just keep a little money coming in is not something I'm excited about.
What do you think would make it better? Like, or what when you're thinking about like the photography side of it and being like, I don't want to dive into it. What is it about it? Because I can feel that way about video.
Yeah, sure. I just think it's maybe it's all the technicality that goes into it. There's a lot of memorization and just reading and
there's all those dials. Is it like all the dials on the camera? You've got the dials for ISO, for shutter speed. How do you focus? Is it manual or automatic focus? And
yes. And for me, I remember thinking, my God, 15 years ago, way before I did anything with food, like maybe it'd be cool to like learn how to photograph things with like a real camera. And then as soon as 10 minutes into it, I was like, this is not for me.
I so don't want to focus too much on this because I want to get into all your experience. But when it comes to photography and like seeing there's like we were talking about, a spectrum of people who do blogging and photography of their food. There's also a spectrum of people who try to teach. And I remember, I'm trying to think of who it was. It's not somebody who's like super popular, so I'm not throwing somebody who everybody loves under the bus. But there was a guy in Europe who was doing like, here's how I do my commercial photography. Anyone
Mhm.
can do it. And he's like, I've got a snoot and I've got this and I've got this and I've got this. And by the time he finished up one shot, it was like $60,000 worth of equipment.
Right.
You're like, there is no way on the planet anyone
Right.
can do that. And not only that, but you like way overproduced this photo, like just obscene.
Right.
And I feel like in some ways it's like an ego thing. And so people see that and they go, holy shit, like there's no way I can ever compete in this and ever learn this. There's too much.
And I definitely think, having been on some really huge productions and things here, there is a time and a place for that, for sure. There are, I have worked with some super cool special effects people who are so good. And, you know, but like I mentioned to you earlier, it's here in the industry here, there is a pretty definitive line, at least in the circles that I have been fortunate to get into.
Mm-hmm.
There's photographers, there's prop stylists, there's food stylists. Sometimes people do food and prop. And then, you know, there's lighters, there's, you know, assistants. And it's really, people pick a lane and it becomes your specialty and you become known for that and you acquire the tools to do that specific job. And maybe it's a function of being in a market this big and being able to support all of those different roles, but people really do kind of pick a lane and stay fairly within that lane. So if you're acquiring that 60,000 piece of equipment, everybody knows you have it and they're going to call you because you have it. So yeah, it's really interesting. And I think it really depends on the projects that you're working on for sure, whether or not you need the all of that, or if you can do it.
There's like 12 lights going on, they're all independently triggered, and you are looking at this and going, no. Nope. I look at that and I say the same thing. I'm like, oh, come on. No, I'm not that person. I mean, you've talked a little bit, you're in Chicago, so you've got a much broader market there. And I'm assuming a lot of the time when you're on set, you're in a team situation.
Totally. Yes. Even if the team is literally just a photographer and a food stylist, there's at least always two different people. But a lot of times the crews can get massive. So I have not done any TV work here. I've done commercials for TV, but I have not done any TV shows. You know, I feel like the motion shoots are the ones that get really, really large, really large, and for good reason. I mean, you have to meet the timetables and get everything turned out and just be absolutely 100% ready to go, you know, for 50 takes if you need to. So,
and it has to look good for real. There's no retouching. You can't go back and fix it. There's no post.
Right.
Are there any foods that you find like extra challenging when you're on set? Like you're like, oh God, today's going to be rough because we're shooting X. And it's like...
So I mentioned, I still assist a lot and I like it. I really like it because I love learning from a lot of different people. So here in Chicago, you really work with a variety of different people. It's not like I assist one primary 95% of my time. I assist a lot of different people on a lot of different jobs and a lot of different foods. And I would say ice cream jobs are the most challenging, but for me, like I also really love doing them. It's just, it's a challenge and it's critical thinking and speed and problem solving. Ice cream.
I've got one other person who mentioned ice cream as well. And it's like, you know, the things that make your stomach flip. Okay, today's ice cream day. But I feel like a lot of the times too, when you're on set with something like that, that's like a big challenge. At the end of the day, when it's done and the client's like, love it, you're like, yes. It's like a bigger win at the end of the day when it's a bigger challenge.
Yeah, there's definitely a bigger win. And I don't know about you, Suzanne, but one of the things that I love the most about being a freelancer is moving from job to job. So like if you have an ice cream shoot, you do it as great as you can. You hope you get that client wow. And then when the job is done, you move on to something totally different. And I love that. You can get through anything and do a good job of anything when there is that finite of amount of time that you're spending on it. At least that's how I feel about it.
Right. Yeah. Like as opposed to being in-house. I don't know if it exists, like Baskin Robbins in-house or something. Like every day you're doing ice cream. You're like, yep, got it. Mm-hmm. You know, it becomes monotonous, but like variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
And that ever changing menagerie of things that come through your door to be shot helps keep things moving. Okay, new challenge, new thing. And I know like in a lot of the forums online and stuff, people are like, okay, today I've got to shoot, maybe it's coffee and they've got to show steam behind it, or there's all these like completely insane questions. And then people come together because it's such a community and they're like, I did it this way, I did it this way. And we're all pretty supportive, I think, too, of each other, which is pretty cool. Any tips then, I guess, right? When you're talking about styling ice cream being, in this case, the product and not like a supporting role, like you're not selling the ice cream cone.
Right. So it needs to be the real product.
Yeah.
Get as much dry ice as you can. That's my tip. You will always use more dry ice than you think that you need.
How do you use the dry ice? Just for people who aren't familiar.
You can pack tube socks full of dry ice.
Totally normal.
And put and put them around the product, around the set, to keep the sides of the set cold. That would be the tip. And put it underneath the set. Yeah. So that it's resting on them, so that your set is actually cold. So when you put your product down, it's on something cold.
When I'm doing like truffles, let's say here in the summer, and my air conditioning is struggling to try to keep things cool, I'll put stones, like I've got like offcuts from countertop manufacturers, so it's really thick, and I put those into the freezer, and I've got like 3 of them. And same idea, keep the cold set. So you put them underneath whatever surface, that you're shooting. Yeah. And that way,
smart.
Keep the truffles from getting sort of sad.
I love that. Touchable. Yeah. I think that's really a part of what I love assisting about too, is like, you have a way to keep your set cold. I have a different way to keep my set cold. And the more people I can work with, the more tricks that you pick up, because the thing about this job is there's more than one way to skin a cat, and so what works great on one shoot might not work great on another shoot, but you can glean something else that you've used from a different job, from a different person, to get the end result that you need. And I just think that's like super, super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like your stone idea.
Yeah. Oh, it helps if you've got enough stones. Like if you've got a full day of ice cream, you're going to run out of stones, but but it does help. It makes a big difference. I've also seen people use dry ice over the set, since heat rises in cold sinks. So I've seen that happen a lot too. And then just like on the topic of ice cream, is like pre-scooping it, putting it in the freezer, so you get like a lot of beautiful scoops.
Yeah, totally.
If ice cream's not the center stage and it's a supporting role, how often do you end up using faux ice cream, and what do you use for that, if you do?
I haven't been on a ton of shoots that had it in a supporting role. I've had a couple, and we have used that powdered sugar Crisco situation that everybody uses and is easily Googleable to get to that consistency that gives you that really nice pull if you need to scoop it. And then, you don't have to worry about it melting. So yeah.
See, we're all on the same page there. No one has said mashed potatoes, just as a side note.
No one?
Well, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody personally that has said that they use mashed potatoes as the stand-in. I think maybe that was older school, or maybe because I don't know. My experience with like I don't use the Crisco as much as like I'll buy a tub of icing, because it already has some color, so you get chocolate or strawberry or vanilla, and then you can stir stuff in, or you can add color to it or whatever. But like mashed potatoes, to me, I can't imagine you get that good scoop look from it.
I've never tried, so I maybe it works great. I don't know.
But I remember in the dining hall in college, they used to scoop it into a dish, and it did not look like ice cream. So how did you get an interest in the whole realm of food styling though?
I got interested in it. So I worked at Wilton Brands for almost 8 years. And Wilton is a huge company for baking and cake decorating, make tons of baking pans, cake pans, and cake decorating supplies. And I worked
And if you haven't heard of Wilton, you've been under a rock.
It's a pretty big company. I had a great job with them for for a long, long time, I worked in, I started working in the test kitchen there, worked my way up to running the test kitchen, and then eventually also running the entire content development department, which meant for me that I was overseeing all of the people and products that got made to be photographed in any capacity for Wilton. So that could be for social media, it was for packaging, it was for the YouTube channel, which I did a jillion videos for and really liked doing. It was a super cool job. And so I got interested in food styling there because I was working hand in hand with our in-house photographer and our in-house staff of people that were producing all of these lovely cakes and cookies and also other things, because we made roasting pans and pizza pans. So we were doing turkeys and chickens and pizzas and meatloafs and things that people don't really think about when you think about Wilton necessarily. We were doing a lot of that as well. So when I started working with that department, I started to get interested in where I wanted more freedom and flexibility in my life than a full-time job could give me. And also I was commuting really far for this job. I was commuting 2+ hours every day.
Ooh.
Which was amazing. And I mean, it was such a cool job. Like,
right. But that's rough, like day in and day out, that kind of commute would be.
So that's how I got interested in it, because I had a hand in it there. And again, that's really, on occasion we would get so busy, or we would have a food item that we needed to photograph that we really felt like it would be better to bring in an outside person, because while we were doing some of these other foods, really the specialty of the staff at Wilton is doing those beautiful cakes and cookies and baked items. So we would bring in an outside stylist once in a while to help us with some of those other foods. And that's really how I started to meet people and build up relationships with them.
Yeah, you said you've been doing the assistant food styling and primary food styling now for, is it,
I started 3 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
First year was rocky. Even though I knew it was still.
Well, so what was your first like paid gig like?
My first paid gig was actually just a grocery shopping job. And it was like, I had kind of put my feelers out to some people before I had left. I had a job in between Wilton that was a great job, it just wasn't a good fit for me. And I put my feelers out to some different people saying, I think I'm interested in going out on my own, just throwing it out there. And I told somebody who saw something honestly on Instagram from a food stylist that was coming in from LA to shoot in Chicago, and she needed somebody local to help her do her grocery shopping. So that was actually my first paying gig. I shopped for her for a day and a half, and then the second half of that second day I helped her prep for her shoot. And she gave me a couple of names of people in Chicago I could call on. And that was my first paying job. And it was actually in March of 2017. So that's just past 3 years.
Wow.
Grocery shopping. Who knew?
But it's an important part of it. And it's like,
totally.
A lot of people maybe don't realize is like when that happens and then like how you go about doing that part of the job.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about like the tweezers and all the little like things that you need on set, but like the first thing is the ingredients and making sure that your ingredients are spectacular and
totally.
And
yes.
Any tips for shopping? Because that's huge.
Gosh.
And I haven't asked anyone that one.
That's a great question, but I think it's really good to have some specialty stores in mind that do a really great job of things. Like if they're, and sometimes it's not a grocery store, like bakeries that do really great breads, know exactly what breads they make, so that when you are asked for a loaf of like a round sourdough boule, you know exactly who you can go for so that you're not spending a ton of time
bouncing around.
And bread is hard, rolls are really hard, like trying to source perfect buns is hard. So like going into places and remembering exactly what they have so that when you need it down the road, you're like, that's where I need to go. I think that's a huge tip. And I think that comes over time too, from going different places. And I think having like a really good spice merchant is good.
Chicago girl here.
I think somebody that like you can call and be like, listen, I need 15 really beautiful vanilla beans.
Yeah.
Do you have them? Yes. Can you pull them for me? And knowing that they will pull you really beautiful ones.
They're not all kinked up and horrible looking.
So it's kind of like, it's like that old school way of maybe developing relationships with people that work in these stores the way that people used to before we had huge grocery stores all over the place,
Yeah.
having a, we have a butcher here in Chicago, which is not the cheapest place in the city, but they can get you a turkey no matter what time of year it is. So,
Yeah.
just, you need to know where, you need to start figuring out where to go for things. And that is probably not usually your normal grocery store.
Yeah.
That's
not
my biggest
naming
tip.
names.
Like, keep a mental inventory of what you get every place.
Yeah. So how often are you,
Yeah.
because like I feel like when I'm prop shopping, I bring my cell phone with me and I might not be looking for X, but I see X. So I photograph it just as a mental note. Like I saw this here. If this comes up later, I know they have it. Do you do that a lot with your food vendors?
Yeah.
Like, this is the best bread, take a picture, and just sort of have a
totally.
cell phone inventory.
Totally. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And then it's kind of funny because also like, so assistants always almost 99% of the time do the shopping here.
Yeah.
There's occasions I'm sure where, and where I have also, if I've let a job, I also do my own shopping, but it's usually there's an assistant doing it. And on occasion, you have to find a really out of season item.
Cherries.
Like, yes, I had to try and find I had to find white grapefruit a handful of weeks ago, which doesn't, at first I didn't even think anything of it until I started looking for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. Like ruby red grapefruit was all I could find.
Yeah.
So like I put out a little text bat signal to the other assistants like, hey, while you're shopping over the next couple of days, can you please keep an eye out for this for me? If you find it, let me know where you found it.
Yeah.
Let me know if there's anything I can look for you.
Yeah.
And we will help each other out, which is like tremendously helpful because if there's 6 assistants out and about in the city, you can get 6 different sets of eyes for something.
And they're different parts of the city too. So you're not all shopping at the same spots. That is huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
Blood oranges were like the bane of my existence. And then also passion fruit. Cause like I used to grow my own and I know like this is passion fruit season. And I can get it right now. And then somebody would slip in and be like, I need some passion fruit for this. Like, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're all gone. If you want the pulp, I can get you the pulp.
Yeah. I hope that he doesn't mind me giving out this information, but Melissa's Produce has been so helpful to me time and time again on things that like I really just can't find.
Yeah.
In the city or surrounding areas. Nick from Melissa's Produce, phenomenal guy, and it costs a lot, but if you really, really need it, a lot of times they have things you can't find and they can ship it overnight. So
fabulous. Yeah, no, that's good because I know Ashley had mentioned them ages ago too. So every now and then when you're like short on something, and I live in Florida, which should be awesome, but depends on where you are in Florida. Like,
sure, not
to throw myself under the bus, but we used to have Lucky's, which was fantastic because they'd have some unique stuff, at least for here. And you're like, oh my God, Suzanne, where do you live? Like Lucky's was your go-to for stuff.
Right.
But they had like rainbow carrots with tops and stuff. And they had, what is it? Easter egg radishes.
Yeah.
Like you could get all kinds of stuff like that you couldn't get at the major chains, major chains, you'd be lucky to get just regular carrots, like tops.
Right.
So every now and then we get like a special request and she'd be like, oh, we could check out Melissa's Produce. I never had to pull the trigger on that, but it's good to know that they can overnight stuff as long as they've got it in stock, right? So
yeah, he's awesome to work with. They are awesome to work with. And I met him actually through ICP. So
yeah. Oh, I saw him there last year.
Yeah.
So maybe we get to go this year sometime.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. Because we're now in October for that, right? Yeah, I think
so, yeah.
You're going or not going this year?
I had not planned to go in March. I don't know. I don't think I'll be going. I just financially didn't want to do it this year because we were planning for a wedding, which we are now postponing, and I don't know when we're postponing to. I would love to go to IACP, but I just don't think it's in my budget this year after having this period of time because I hadn't already purchased a ticket. So so I mean, never say never.
Right? Things could like get crazy. You could all of a sudden become like a maverick with the camera and then everybody's like, Beth is our girl. She's our Chicago girl. when somebody asks you what you do and they find out, is there any sort of like common things that pop up, like that you say, like,
yeah, totally. Like people will, everybody's like, oh my God, so nothing is real, right? Like
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the food is fake, right? And it's like, no, pretty much none of the food is fake.
Right. And it's all edible.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah.
It depends on how glossy you have to make it.
Exactly.
Or whatever. But yeah, that keeps coming up again and again. Like, none of it's real. No. It's totally, especially if it's on packaging, even though it looks really nicely done, it's still the real food. Or it should be at the very least.
It legally has to be. So I don't think that's something that most most general consumers know, but you know, there are laws governing that. So we are held to some pretty strict standards. You know, if you're doing editorial work, it's a lot more lenient, but if you're doing advertising work or packaging work, there are people watching you. So.
Yeah. And then the sort of dominoes of responsibility on that. I don't know where that falls. If somebody gets caught baking food, who in the end gets caught in that trap? Is it the art director? Is it the client?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good question. I really don't know. But you know, you're only as good as your last job. So you don't want to be in part of one of those situations.
You don't want to get caught in that, and then and then that's your reputation. Yeah, that is definitely not good. Well, so what's the most rewarding part of what you do? Or like, you know, like at the end of the day, you're like, this was awesome because of X.
Yeah, I think I feel really fortunate having fallen in with the group of people that I have in Chicago. I really work with cool people who I love spending time with. I love having my work days with. We've become friends outside of work. So for me, that's probably the most rewarding part. I feel very taken in and loved, and that's just, for me, that's really awesome. And it's a wide group of people, and I just like really love everyone's energy and the creativity and problem solving that different people bring. So for, like I said, I really like working with a lot of different people on different jobs. I just think that really gets me going.
Well, so we have literally like 2 minutes remaining before Zoom cuts us off. So in closing, do you have any advice for anybody who's interested in getting into this? Understanding you're like 1 minute out.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to actually know how to cook and or bake and understand the science behind that. Because if you don't know how to do that, you don't know how to change how something's going to look based on that. So actually knowing what you're doing in the kitchen, you have to know how to do that. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you for joining me. And then, you know, if it comes up and we have an opportunity to talk again, I'd love to have you back.
Thanks, Suzanne. Thanks for arranging it.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Get baking. I know you're busy.
I know. I will. See you later.
Bye.